All right, it is Sunday, July 27th, and I'm out getting some Sunday steps. I wanted to put a little prelude together of the video you're going to see tonight. It's really short, but on Friday, my friend Bridget and I, we went for a 8-mile ruck through Jefferson Barracks National Cemetery. And the reason we chose to go there was that the wall that heals, or the Vietnam Memorial Traveling Wall, was in St. Louis, and that night, Friday night, they were having a special ceremony. My dad was in the Vietnam War, and I thought this would be a nice thing for me to kind of go and see. In a way, my dad's not dead yet, but maybe very, very indirectly honor him. And I also wanted my little sister to see that I don't always do all my rucks alone. This time it was fun. Bridget and I are getting ready to do the Mammoth March here in Missouri. That's going to be in September, and that's a 20-mile hike. So we're trying to get some practice runs in, and 8 miles in this heat and humidity, it was quite a night. I don't think any part of my clothing was dry. In fact, it was just downright gross, for lack of a better word. Okay, guys, I'm out here for one of my weekly hikes. This is a special one. It's a Friday hike. I haven't done it. It's Friday, July 25th, and I have 2 different surprises for you. The first, say hi. Hello. Is I get to hike with my friend Bridget. And how far are we going today, Bridget?
Aiming for 8 miles.
Aiming for 8 miles. Uh-oh. I gotta be quiet, guys, because the second surprise is coming up, and I'll share it with you in just a second here.
As well as those who return home only to lose their battle, and those who continue to grapple with PTSD. We remember those who lost their fight and are represented by the memory plaque here tonight.
Now I would like to ask you all to proceed slowly from where you are, standing to the wall. Let us stand shoulder to shoulder at each panel, looking towards the middle. Vietnam has taken hundreds of thousands of our nation's sons and daughters. May we never forget.
Is it like a rubbing of it? Amy?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. I realized
Sorry to interrupt you.
I should have just taken a picture. All right, two also at the same time.
I've never seen one, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then Derby.
Oh, demolition.
Yeah, that was beyond fun. That was like, I was up in the corner. It was hard to right?
Yeah.
In the video of the wall, you'll notice that the lighting around it is all green, and that was done in honor, or in recognition, maybe not in honor, is probably the wrong word, in recognition of PTSD and how that wasn't a thing way back when the Vietnam War was going over, and how all these soldiers really didn't get treatment for it because no one really understood it, and they were pretty much just left on their own to deal with it. And you know, it's one thing to see that wall and all those names on it, and just, you know, how sad it was. I could tell that there were some families, probably siblings, that were there to see, because the parents would probably be getting quite old. But to also know there are people that came home and are still fighting and dealing with the scars of that war today. And I hope now that we've advanced a little bit as a society, maybe they have been able to get some help and they're able to live a more fulfilling life. I really hope so. I have 3 stories in regards to the Vietnam War, that had an indirect or direct impact, I guess, on my life. The first was my dad, I think, left for Vietnam when I was about 3.5 years old. And of course, I don't remember his send-off, I don't remember the goodbyes, and I wish I did. But what I do remember is we moved back to the town where my mom grew up, West Winfield, New York. And her father would come over, I want to say every night, and I'm going to assume it's every night, so we're sticking with that. And at bedtime, and he would have my sister, who was a year younger than me, march up and down on our beds before we went to sleep, not rigorously or anything crazy like that, but back and forth. And the reason he gave for doing that is he said he wanted us to remember my dad every day while he was gone, and to at least think of him once that day. And I guess that probably came from him. He was in World War I over in France, but I really appreciate that, and the older I got, the more I appreciated it and thought it was a really cool kind of thing to do. And so I'm glad he thought about that and had us do it. I know my sister appreciated it as well. My second story is when I was 16 and we lived in Omaha, Nebraska. My first job, I guess you could say first real job, I guess, part-time job, was at Godfather's Pizza in Bellevue, Nebraska, which is right outside the Air Force Base. And I had a good friend that I met while I was there, and we worked together. But after about a year of working there, they had hired a Vietnamese high school student who was super nice and super smart. I know because they put her up front on the register right away. I hadn't moved up there yet. But then eventually they hired her mom, and her mom worked back in the kitchen doing dishes, mainly because she didn't speak any English. She was very much still trying to acclimate to this country is probably the way to put it. But I noticed my friend never spoke to them, never talked to them. I enjoyed them. I thought they were very nice people. And so I asked him why one day, and I learned something I didn't know about him. His dad was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, and he was shot down and killed. And I wish I could remember his name, because I would have loved to have found him on the wall last night, but or Friday night, I should say. But he was very resentful. He knows that these are people that left Vietnam because they were quote unquote on our side, and that's how they ended up here. But he's still resented that his dad had to go over there and never came home. And that kind of hit me when I was a kid, because I'd never known anyone whose parent had died in war. And I wondered, how many other kids are dealing with that? And are they dealing with it maybe better than he did? Was he dealing with it bad? But that's my second story. And my final story brings me to present day. One of my best, very, very best friends, I would say. I see her on a weekly basis in my gym classes, and I take hers. And well, I shouldn't say I haven't taken one of hers in a long time, but we're buddies from the gym. Let's just put it that way. Is a Vietnamese woman who somehow went from California and ended up in St. Louis and everything. But she's told me a little bit about the story of how her and her family escaped from Saigon. And she was one of those people I remember reading about in like one of my dad's Time magazines or something when I was younger, that actually ended up with her family in a boat and was climbing up the side of a U.S. ship who was pulling people out of the bay or the sea or whatever it was right there. So they were essentially rescued and brought to the United States, and I guess back then would have been given asylum and everything. But what an amazing story, and a terrifying thing to have had to go through as a child. Her whole family, brothers and sisters and everyone, came over here that way, and I know it's formed her as a person from some of the things that she's told me. But it's just kind of interesting that how something that happened halfway across the world is, in a not so insignificant way, had a little impact on my life. And I didn't, fight in the war, go to the war, didn't have any opinion of the war. I was a 4-year-old kid at the time. But come across people that it has, and I'll let the ceremony in the video speak for itself. I think it's nice that this is still going around because these people are getting older. My dad's in his 80s now, and just like the World War II people that have almost completely died off, eventually this will happen for them as well. But this memorial still has impact, and I'm glad it made its way to St. Louis. I'm glad I was able to get to the ceremony, and I was really happy I got to go 8 miles with Bridget. We had a lot of fun together, and that Friday night was just a very good night. So I'm going to finish up my Sunday steps here and go home, put this video together, and get ready for a good week.